So after living in the UK for 10 long years as a manager and an employer, very resourceful individual, this person applied for his ILR, indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and then boom, he was denied by the Home Office. This country, they laugh at all. It's one important thing about the UK. Their system it's not rigid, because they usually make their laws very clear, even though that sometimes when you go to their website, gov.com, some things are not usually clear when it comes to immigration. For instance, when they say if you have lived in the UK for 3 years, you are allowed to get a funded program, isn't it? Sometimes you would then apply to all of these programs and you will be denied on the ground that you have not qualified for it. You have not lived in the UK for 3 long years. That should be on indefinite leave to remain, or as a citizen of this very country. But they will just say, if you have lived in the country for 3 years, this funding is open to you. It's strange. Yes, my friend is currently in Scotland studying because she was also denied. Myself, I had applied for program here and I was denied. Don't come in the comment section to fight me. Yes, but when you click on the website to apply for all of this courses, they will say, living in the UK for 3 years, you get funded for this. Apply, boom, you will be rejected. Anyway, my friend is lucky she had to move over to Scotland. She still lives here in England though, but she's doing her program in Scotland. Yes, because they accepted and gave her home tuition, when she had lived here for over 4 years now. Yes. So sometimes their terms are not so clear. So this man was denied on certain ground. Yes. He is a very resourceful person, a property manager, 29-year-old. He had employed the local British people to work for him in his establishment. Somebody that this country would have said, this is just an asset to our country. Yes, somebody providing employment opportunities to British people. Maybe I should read what the person posted. I've lived in the UK for 10 years and my ILR was rejected, so I have to leave this January. I'm 29-year-old property manager. In that time, I have received 2 degrees, I think on a long settlement route, which is 10 years. If you're here on a study visa, their route is 10 years. You must have lived and worked in the UK for 10 years for you to be able to qualify for ILR. I received 2 degrees, BTech and MSc. I built 3 companies that hire British residents with yearly revenue of 350 to 400k. Wow. I bought a property on 35-year mortgage, received multiple industry awards, passed life in the UK exam, spent here well over 250,000 on visas, tuitions, and various forms of taxes. I guess I'm the problem to British economy. Oh my God, this is not laughable, but when he said, I guess I'm the problem to British economy, that was why I laughed, please. So I'm not laughing at you, So for my application, I paid 6,000k. How could you have paid 6,000k for your indefinite leave to remain? Have you applied 2 or 3 times? Maybe this person might have a family. Yeah. So he said he paid 6,000k, got rejected because in 10 years, I'm only allowed to leave the UK for 548 days, and my absence was 602 days. This is because I had to fly back home during COVID-19 breakdown, as I had serious health issues. Wow. COVID-19, that was 1 year, 365 days, possibly, he spent in his home country, and subsequent times he had traveled. All put together, amounted to 602 days outside of the UK. These things are so clear. This country, they joke with their laws. I am certain that in this UK's Home Office thing, people in charge of issuing these visas, there must be something like an app that checks. Once you apply, they put your date of birth, vroom, everything will come out, number of times you have been absent from the country and the time you were in. Yeah, it's just the same, especially when you get to the airport, they take your date of birth, everything shows up. You don't need to start telling them, my name is so, it's date of birth. Everything, you know. Anyway, this is sad, but I used to think that when you have property in this country, because a lot of people now who have these issues with the COS, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, some of them are currently establishing companies, yeah, that allows them that 5 years ILR route to stay in the UK. Anyway, but then if you are in the UK on a study visa, you have seen it, during your 10 years settlement route, you are not expected to have spent 548 days outside of the UK. Yes, 500 in total within that 10 years period, not just in 1 year. But for people who are here on a skilled worker visa, which is on a 5-year route, you are not expected to spend 180 days outside of the UK. You travel, you spend some time, you come back. It happened to my friend. Anyway, she traveled and she spent almost a year in Nigeria with her children. She came back, she had to start all over again. She had to start all over again because currently I think she should have been like 7 years in the UK, but right now she has not gotten her ILR. She had to start counting all over for her and her children because she took her children home. But for her husband, I think her husband will be getting his anytime this year, if I thought he has not gotten yet. You know, so you just have to understand all these laws or rules as the case may be, so that you don't breach any. These people, they know they joke. This morning I went to church, I parked in Lido. You know, funny enough, it's not, they don't have like all these officers, you know, road traffic officers coming to check you, coming to tell you you have overstayed. Their cameras are watching. Yes. So my church opposite Lido, you know, I parked in Lido, you know, is 90 minutes free parking, 1 hour 30 minutes free parking time. I got into church. I got there 10:50. That was when I parked, and so my church started at 11 o'clock. You know, so I was just checking time. Normally we finish, I come out 15 minutes to the time and move my car. But today there was baptism. And at the end of it, they started doing announcement. They called out people preparing for communion to come out. I just looked at time. God saved me. It was 7 past. I said no. Walking down takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Yes, because the car park is quite massive. I just tapped something. We don't receive communion. We don't receive a preaching. It is over. Even though we did not stay there till the final blessing. Those days growing up in Nigeria, if you go to church, you did not stay here. My brother was just a disciplinarian. If you go to church and Father has already said in the name of the Father, the Mass has begun, you have to go back and wait for the next Mass. And if you leave the Mass before the final blessing, you know, go in peace and blah, blah, blah. My big bros will send you back to church. But today I had to. Yes, because when I checked it was 7 past. I said, something, we just have to go. We just have to go because I was expected to have moved my car 20 past 12. That should have been 90 minutes. And you don't want to wait until that 90 minutes. So we left the church, walked straight to Lido. Yeah, I told something, definitely once I start the car, it will be 10 past 12. Vim, turn on the engine, it was 10 past. Sometimes say, Mommy, you're generous. I say, yes, I know, but we have to leave. Yes, you have to go. People have gotten tickets, and guess what? I would have loved to go into Lido, do my shopping for the week. But they don't care. Go in there and spend another 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You come out, you will receive that thing by tomorrow or next. It's the camera that will capture you. You won't go and start explaining to them, I actually finished from church, I had to come into your shop to buy something. For how long? You have exhausted that time going to church, you know. So what we usually do, I would always drive to the next Lidl. Yes, on my streets to go and buy something, because you are not even expected to come back until after 2 hours. I cannot drive out and drive in again. No, the camera will catch you. You are expected to come back after 2 hours. These are rules in this country. Hey. If you don't understand it, you will keep making mistakes. So this is why some of them, you have them at your fingertips. ignorance is never an excuse in this country, you know. But this man, I sincerely feel for him, but he has property, you know. He has property. What he should have done was maybe waited until after 1 or 2 years, not applying immediately. He had stayed for 10 years. At least waited, you know, for like another 1.5 years or 2 years. I think they say they usually give another grace. Yes, grace of 2 years for people who travel during that COVID thing. You know, anyway, he should get a lawyer. He has property here. People who have properties here, they are able to become employers, you know, even sponsor people. Yes, even people who have cleaning companies here. It's not little. Don't let me say as little as that. They are able to get sponsors rights, and they hire people, they sponsor them. Those ones with African shops, you know, they also sponsor people to come. They have license to employ people here, you know. So it doesn't mean that the person should japa back to their country. You are an employer, your company can keep running, you have mortgage, and if you buy property here, it covers a lot. So a lot of people were saying that the UK government is not being fair. They don't judge on emotions. They don't even know you. They don't care about who you are. They don't see your face. All they care about is, did you break the rule? You know, you did. You did. You saw me the day I breached the rule. Like, you saw a video I put up recently. It was a short video. I breached the rule. I parked inside the disabled car bay, the parking bay. I didn't even know. I did not know, because a car just moved. A high car. You know, it was a Jeep. It just drove off. I was like, hey, thank God I parked. I did not look on the other side. Boom! I was inside the shop buying something, and the shop owners, they came to call me that they were about giving me a ticket. I said, what? I rushed out with my basket. I had yam in my basket. I went to meet with the ticket officer. He said, yes, he has written the ticket. I said, what happened? He said, I parked in the disabled. I said, no, I'm not disabled. He said, of course, that you can see that. I said, I'm not disabled. Yeah. He said, yeah, you don't have blue badge. I said, of course. He said, but this is where I said, no, it's not the same. He said, come over. The ticket officer took me around. I said, what? I said, okay, can you take the... He said he cannot withdraw the ticket, that he has issued it and it has registered in their office. That was how I paid that money. Like that day. It was last month or so. The video is here on my channel, 3 minutes video or thereabouts. You know, it's very, very sad. Paying that money, I did not even buy something worth £35. You know, it was 70. It was supposed to be 70, but then I paid less than 10 days. Yeah, because if I had delayed, I would have paid in full, which was £70. You know, so let's just understand that law is law in this country. So qualifying for indefinite leave to remain on a work visa, if you are applying for settlement after 5 years, these are for skilled workers. You know, skilled workers, those on formerly tier 2 visas. The key absence rule is this: you must not have been outside the UK for more than 180 days in any rolling 12 months period during your 5-year qualifying period. Somebody is in Nigeria. That lady has been in Nigeria since July now. She says she'll be coming back in January. I am certain that this person must have gotten their settlement in the UK. If not, there's no way you can go to Nigeria and relax. People like Melissa Oti, she moved back to Nigeria. She has gotten ILR, Canadian, blah blah blah. This is when you can go home and relax for months. But for you, we never get them. Say you go home, you they watch your property, you they watch your building construction. You better hand it over. You know that a lot of us cannot trust a lot of our relatives and relations. It's hard, but this time you must, unless you want to wait until you get what you are looking for. Okay, so the Home Office looks at every possible 12 months period in your 5 years and check absence, not just calendar years. Total absence over 5 years don't have to be under a fixed number like 548 days. What matters is not exceeding 180 days out of the UK in any 12 calendar months. For those of you on a skilled worker visa, you don't have to stay out of the UK for over 180 days within 12 calendar months. Important points to note: the above applies to the standard skilled worker Tier 2 ILR route, that's the 5 years, exceeding 180 days in one 12-month period can break continuous residence, meaning you might have to restart the qualifying period unless an exemption applies. Time spent outside the UK due to work trips, annual leave, or business travel still usually counts against the 180-day limit unless specific narrow exemptions are proven. So even if you go on vacations, holidays, tourism, they calculate that to make sure that. But why would anybody travel and spend 180 days? Yes, that is 5 months. Am I right? Yes, 60 days is 2 months, 2 months. Yeah, it's 5 long months. Why would you travel and spend 5 long? Anyway, that is in a 12 calendar year. Yeah, it could happen to a lot of people who travel a lot. Anyway, guys, this is it for this content. I wish all of you the best. Happy Sunday. Please make we observe these rules here. Everything before you take any action, observe the rules. Before you park your car, look grand, look up, look signpost to see what they write. I wish all